Front row always for Dallas Cowboy happenings. We say hello now to Garrett Podell with his thoughts on what just transpired here on Thanksgiving Day. And Garrett, I always appreciate your reporting because you have this knack of taking us into the room. I literally want you to just take us into the room, what it was like after these Cowboys got to that locker room and realized what had just happened.
Hey, Joe, happy Thanksgiving. Yeah, when I got down to the locker room from the press box, Dak Prescott jogged down the hall, turkey leg in hand, and he's fired up yelling, and then he stops and doesn't go in the locker room, turns around, and here comes Jake Ferguson with the whole turkey in his hand. He's yelling. CeeDee Lamb's laughing, shaking his head, and as he walks in, and the whole place is going nuts. As they close the doors before kind of the media cool down, before we go in and talk to them, you could just hear the roar as they all walk in with the turkey. And then when Jerry popped out to chat with us, there was Jerry gripping a turkey leg himself, saying, how about them Cowboys? And here we are talking about they just beat the last two Super Bowl champions in a span of 4 days.
Well, walked away with more than a leg here. I'm glad you bring up Jerry because watching this offense continue to produce at the level they've had is impressive. But this defense is really the aspect of this team that's come along so strong over this 3-game winning streak. Is this in any way, in your eyes, vindication for Jerry and in the flack that he took early on and the production he's seeing here on the latter end?
I think it's absolutely vindication for Jerry Jones making the move he did to go get Quinnen Williams at the trade deadline. I actually wrote a column after they lost the Arizona Cardinals the night before the deadline saying, I don't know about this defense. I don't know if any trade could really fix this defense. Well, Jerry Jones, Quinnen Williams, they've proven me wrong because since getting Quinnen Williams, they're 3-0 and have one of the best defenses entering tonight. It was the best run defense in football after wins against the Raiders and the Eagles, and they did another strong job tonight. And it's interesting, I was talking to a number of the defensive guys, and when I asked them almost in a more positive way, like after you gave up 2 touchdowns in the opening drives, forced 4 consecutive punts against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, they were like, yeah, we're still starting slow. Jadeveon Clowney, he said, for me, I'm a 12-year veteran. This is my 7th team. It takes me a little time to get loose, but he had a couple sacks of Patrick Mahomes and one in which Quinnen Williams kind of chased Mahomes around a little bit, and then Clowney came on the backside to kind of pop him at the end of a play, and Williams was laughing, saying, man, I probably left 3 sacks out there on the field, but everyone in that locker room is so thrilled that he's here in Dallas.
Yeah, that pressure felt up the middle, as is evidenced by the numbers he's produced in these first 3 starts. Garrett, this is obviously a big moment in this season. We'll get to some of the playoff prognostication in just a moment, but it's the old adage of to be the best, you have to beat the best. Kansas City not operating at their best right now, but still the dynasty of this last decade. Did you get a sense that this one meant a little more because of the opponent?
I think even though Dak Prescott, he tried to downplay it because someone directly asked him in a press conference I was just in, you know, do you get vindicated or feel any different beating Patrick Mahomes? And he was like, I can't say that. He said, I'm 1-1 against him in my career. But DeMarvion Overshown, the linebacker out of Texas, explosive guy who was responsible for a lot of the QB spying on Mahomes and chasing him around today, he had a little different tone. He said, you know, thinking about the caliber of those teams, referencing the Eagles and the Chiefs, we're of that caliber. And I asked him directly, okay, so does that mean you're playoff caliber? And he looked at me and he goes, we're of that caliber. So a lot of tap dancing around directly saying we're going to make the playoffs, but that's certainly the confidence that's emanating around the locker room. And I would say talking to Jerry about that, which we can lead into that in a second, he kind of had 1 foot in that we can make the playoffs and 1 foot in, I want to see one more week against the Detroit Lions.
And the one against Detroit is massive because of all the tiebreakers and the wild card picture that we look at. According to our sports line projection, again, a 22% chance to make the playoffs even after this win. The deck is stacked against Dallas. All they can do is play their games and win their games right now. If not playoffs, what is the mantra of this team right now?
Well, Jerry Jones said, I feel like we can sustain this level of play and that this level of play, you know, could be good enough for this squad to be in the postseason. So even though, you know, there's not any hard declarative statements out of here in Dallas tonight, they definitely feel like they're a playoff team. And Dak Prescott said, you know, we have the utmost confidence to keep going week in and week out. And I think Jerry kind of referenced it also in the end, which is saying, I think if we get our chance to get into the playoffs, you know, we can sustain this level of play. Translation, he thinks, and why wouldn't he, after they just beat the defending champion Eagles and the Super Bowl dynasty Chiefs, who've been in 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls, that they can beat anybody right now.
I'll say this much. You don't want to see these Cowboys right now. Garrett Podell, appreciative always of your reporting, but especially here on the holiday. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, Joe.
All right, to look here at that schedule ahead, you can only win the ones they put in front of you. And they have a massive one coming up in the Motor City. It's not the long week turnaround because you played here on the holiday. Instead, it's Thursday night football, a standard week for everyone involved as the Lions did play on Thanksgiving as well. After that, another NFC North opponent in the Vikings before closing out with the Chargers and trips to the Commanders and Giants.